Right, welcome guys. Saber Interactive and its CEO are coming under big scrutiny by the nonsense that is Kotaku and just general mainstream media. Now, Saber Interactive are of course the company, the studio that made Space Marine 2. Great game. I have now played it. In fact, it's a really good game. I had a lot of fun. It's just get in, shoot, hack up. And that's it. It's really good fun. I had a great time with it. I will continue playing it. But basically, they're under scrutiny. They're in the doghouse, under fire, whatever you want to call it, by the nonsense mainstream media, because the CEO left a comment on Asmongold's YouTube channel. Kotaku are framing this as a controversial comment. It's not controversial. It's what everyone else besides a bunch of brain-dead idiots believe. By brain-dead idiots, we're of course talking about the activists that are in mainstream media, especially game media, and also just the bizarre left-wingers that don't actually buy anything but want to be pleased when it comes to making video games. It's not controversial at all. The comment is basically what everyone else was thinking. So let's take a look at this, guys. And do hit subscribe if you're new here. Turn those bell notifications on. So here we have this article, and it is such a pile of crap. I am pre-warning you. But Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, made by Saber Interactive, is the sequel to a beloved 2011 shooter and has been praised for, among other things, feeling like an old school Xbox 360 era game, i.e. when there was none of this nonsense, where story came first and there was inclusion, you know, like Gears of War for instance. People keep banging on as if there was never a black person in video games. I mean, there was obviously black people in video games before Gears of War, but Gears of War had black and Hispanic people in it. In fact, one of the Hispanics was the lead, Dom, right? This just didn't exist, this nonsense, this bizarre agenda where agenda came first and story was second. Back then, story was first. And they'd include stuff. It didn't matter. Who cared? No one cared. As long as the story was good, no one gave a shit. But anyway, it says here, but some have marshalled that classic mystique into a rebuke of modern games that don't conform to certain views they have about who gaming is for and what it needs. On what it needs to be good. And this is interesting. This is really telling, by the way. This is Kotaku showing their hand. Some have marshalled that classic mystique into a rebuke of modern games. Right. Well, let's analyse what modern games have released recently. Oh, wait. Yeah, most of them are bombed. So actually, yes, this video game, Space Marine 2, is a rebuke of modern games. It is. And it says that don't conform to certain views. So they're saying it's a rebuke of modern games that don't conform to certain views they have about who gaming is for and what it needs to be good. Well, one, this certain views they have about who gaming is for and what it needs to be good. Gaming is for everyone, but not for idiots that think agenda needs to be first, right? It's not, gaming's not for you because you don't buy the product. But what it needs to be good is a good storyline. Agenda is not a good storyline. When you put agenda first, yeah, storyline kind of suffers. That's not... This is objective truth when it comes to narrative. Anyway, it continues. A week ago, the YouTuber Legendary Drops posted a video called Space Marine 2 as a reminder of what we lost, in which he praised the game for its gruesome combat, beautiful presentation, and celebration of the Warhammer 40k world and lore. He tried to juxtapose it with modern games that are either live service, hamster wheel, or single player experiences that feel narratively convoluted and full of bloated gameplay systems. Yeah, I mean, he would have succeeded then, wouldn't he? But he also talked about the game oozing, quote, with so much masculinity that I feel like I've been in a desert for the last few years, and how it has, quote, themes nobody wants to go near anymore, like for courage and honour, for brotherhood, for the Emperor. Legendary Drops went on to praise the limited banter among the characters, calling out games that eschew simple good and evil characters and more stoic dialogue. Yeah, I'm sure everyone listening to this goes, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm down for that, yeah. Because this is all true. The video didn't blow up until a few days later when YouTuber Asmongold posted a nearly hour-long reaction to it, agreeing with most of Legendary Drop's points and elaborating on some of them. He said, quote, "The problem is not that modern games have complex characters. The problem is that their idea of a complex character is a self-indulgent loser that doesn't have any charisma." Yeah, this is true. Like, absolutely true. That's the reason why I remember I had to read The Catcher in the Rye, and I hated that book so much. And I feel like the reason why I hated that book is because I thought the main character, like Holden Caulfield or whatever, was the biggest simp loser pussy bitch that I had ever. Like, just such a loser. I bet the people that effing write stuff like effing Dustborn or whatever, they love that. They think it's great. Eloquent. There's a two-step that happens in both assessments of Space Marine 2. Each argument conflates modern gaming trends that many players find exhausting with a more recent and boutique reactionary backlash against games accused of shoehorning progressive values into their narratives. Dustborn is literally made to be woke, you idiots. These accusations are made whenever a title dares to showcase diverse characters. That's wrong. No one cared about, again, Gears of War. No one cared about Gears of War. No one cared about diversity within Halo. Like, these things just didn't exist. No one cared. Shut up. You're full of shit. Or tell a story that doesn't solely revolve around the straight white male that's traditionally censored in video game box art. Again, I've just refuted that with Gears of War. Asmongold bringing up Dustborn, a recent action-adventure indie release about a band travelling across America, is specifically a reference to that. The game and the team behind it became such a target of anti-woke reactionaries online that the studio had to put out a statement. Rather than just disagreeing with the values expressed in the game, it became important for some to show that the game had financially failed. It had failed, and was bad because of those values. The same way some are now championing Space Marine 2, not just because it's a fun or well-designed game, but it's part claiming that it's fun and well-designed because it centres young men as the target demographic. Well, yeah. Funnily enough, when gamers are the majority of young men, that target demographic is important. You should probably please them. It's amazing that Kotaku thinks that what they're saying is an argument here. Like, genuinely. These accusations are made whenever a title dares to showcase diverse characters, or tell a story that doesn't solely revolve around the straight white male that's traditionally centered in video game box art, right? So pair that with this nonsense. The same way some are now championing Space Marine 2, not just because it's a fun, well-designed game, but in part claiming that it's fun and well-designed because it centers young men as the target demographic. Again, remember, I mean, they are literally the majority of the demographic, by the way, so yeah. These people are so stupid. And then they go on to say this is all a controversial statement now. None of this would have particularly surprised anyone if it wasn't for Saber Interactive's own CEO appearing to join in on the debate. Matt Kirch, who co-founded the company in 2001, appeared to leave a comment on Asmongold's reaction video near the end of last week. Hey man, and I've covered this, but he basically just goes on to say how, you know, when they got the deal to make Space Marine 2, they just wanted to make a throwback game. They didn't want anything complex, nothing crazy, just an old school shoot 'em up, right? And it's a really good comment. And then they went on to say, you know, he just wanted some glory kills, get the heart rate up, just a bit of fun. You know, when I was at Embracer was full of overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. Really good comment. Everyone agrees. Literally, no one would disagree with that unless you're an idiot. So it wasn't until Monday, September 16, when a Space Marine 2 news account on Twitter recirculated that comment that more people became aware of it. Those in the comment section instantly flocked to it, flooding it with upvotes and positive responses, fluctuating between things like "you're doing God's work" and "I'm glad we got games failing hard that have pronouns in them," like "who the F plays these DI games?" Yeah, I mean, literally, who does? Not many people, because they keep flopping. A lot of people probably just thought, yeah, Space Marine 2 rules. I miss couch co-op and not grinding battle passes. But why do they miss those games? Because the other games have taken prominence, you idiot. You can't say people thought that and they miss those games, whilst also saying that that's not a worthwhile comment as well, you know, the argument. Right, people miss those games because other games have replaced them as the primary focus from game developers. So it's perfectly reasonable to point out the fact that DEI games are absolute just garbage and should die. And I also miss couch co-op and grinding battle passes, right? Oh, not grinding battle passes. There's nothing wrong with that. But for a contingent of the anti-woke gaming backlash, it vindicated the idea that at least one of the scourges of modern gaming is overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. It is. It absolutely is. All of this might have been easy to shrug off, if not for a highly motivated and ongoing harassment campaign against story consultants who, earlier this year, became the boogeyman responsible for every person of colour and pride flag that showed up in major games. No, it's for every person of colour and pride flags that showed up in major games, where it clearly just didn't need to be. Where it, like, really clearly did not need to be. And again, I point to Coltrane in Gears of War. Coltrane. The YouTube account behind the comment had no uploaded videos and was only created in May of this year. The bio read CEO of Saber Interactive, generic male of sorts, lover of loud guitars, violent games, fast cars, and all sorts of whiskey. When asked to confirm if the comment really belonged to Karch, a spokesperson for Saber Interactive declined. Saber is not commenting on this matter, they told Kotaku in an email. Later, Karch weighed in on YouTube comment in question on LinkedIn. Whoever wrote that seems pretty sharp, he wrote. Yeah, good. He's a legend. Person's an absolute tard. And basically, it continues a little bit further, but it says here, there's extra irony in a Warhammer 40k game becoming the Crucible, given its openly fascist world building and the fact that the owners of it had to repeatedly remind the more toxic corners of its fan base that Warhammer is for everyone. It's actually for the fans. I mean, it's literally for the fans, because if there's no fans, you don't have Warhammer. Idiots. To the degree that Space Marine 2 doesn't impose morals on the player, it's only because the politics of its universe are so obviously bleak and abhorrent that regular people know to treat them as grim, dark fantasy rather than a hero's journey parable for 21st century virtue ethics. But you can actually have a hero's journey within the grim, dark fantasy. Of course you can. There's another hit game that's recently bucked modern blockbuster gaming trends. And it's Astrobot. There are no daily quests, crafting systems, or XP grind in that either. Just a crisp and highly refined mashup of Super Mario Odyssey and Crash Bandicoot collectathon platforming. Weirdly, no one seems to be obsessed with whether the cute little robot at the centre of the game is a paragon of masculinity or secretly a vehicle for transmitting woke propaganda. Yeah, probably not, because, funnily enough, it's clearly just for little kids, for the most part. So, I mean, I don't really know what you're thinking, to be fair. How is this an argument? Look, clearly this is for like actual children. And also, it's a robot. If the robot suddenly grew tits and a dick, I'm sure people would be pretty annoyed about it. Like, how is this an argument, Kotaku? You morons. I mean, it looks fun. But it doesn't look anything... It doesn't look like the type of game the people that are playing Space Marine 2 would want to play. Like, who cares about this? This just looks like dumb fun for children. And harmless dumb fun as well. So, real bad argument there, Kotaku. But again, this is controversial, remember? So let me know what you think down below. I'd love to hear it. If you're new here, do hit subscribe, turn those bell notifications on, and support me further over on my Patreon for $2 a month. Link down below. Cheers. Bye now.